朋友们，龙年快乐。As we say, honored guests and friends, Happy Dragon New Year. And we Chinese love this, 恭喜发财. May you be prosperous. 万事如意. May all your dreams come true. Thank you all for coming. And thanks to the mayor and the White House and President Biden and down the chain of command. The president has issued a short letter commemorating this year, the Dragon Year, and also the repeal of the Chinese Exclusion Act, 1943. Well, I'm here to tell you some tall tales, perhaps, and also short stories about Chinese American, in Chinese America. The thing here is, in 1848, I'll tell you a few ancient Chinese trade secrets, if that's of interest to you, how to make money, you know. In 1848, at Sutter's Mill, those of you who know your American history, in the Sierra Nevada mountains, gold was discovered. In fact, to this day, the Chinese remember San Francisco as 旧金山, the old gold mountain. And gold lured immigrants from the East Coast, white immigrants, and also Asian immigrants, mostly from China to California. Now what do we call California? To look for gold and fortune. And the Chinese were not welcome. They were, they looked around, and if they could not work in the gold fields because they couldn't, they said, oh, what are we going to do here? We go home in shame, or we do something. And you look around in the Wild West in those days. Men came there. They did not bring their women folk because it was the Wild West. And the demographics was skewed. There was a shortage of labor. And what could the Chinese do? This is the Chinese secret, trade secret. The Chinese says, we will thrive and make our lives here. And behold, the Chinese hand laundry, because there were no people who washed clothes for these people in the camps. They needed their clothes washed. And they needed food, the Chinese restaurant. There you have chop suey, chow mein, egg foo young, Chinese staples. To this day, you will find these in Chinese restaurants, chow mein. So, the Chinese stayed and they opened their small businesses and they served the community and their businesses thrived. This is the Chinese secret. The Chinese say, 吃苦. 吃苦 means to swallow bitterness. And 吃苦 means humble humility and hard work. Doing the work that needs to be done. In those days, in the gold mines and gold fields and mining towns, this is the Chinese secret to this day. Well, after the gold ran out in a few years by 1855. The miners have taken everything, the gold out of the mines, and there was no gold left. So the Chinese, the miners settled in, some went home to their wives and children, and the Chinese says, what are we going to do next? We can't go home in shame. So they joined the railroad companies, the great intercontinental railroads. The Chinese labor built the railroads from the Pacific coast, the toughest part of the railroad building, through the Rocky Mountains. They handled the dynamites, the explosives. The most dangerous part of the railroad building was crossing the Rockies. And many Chinese labor died, and you can see this commemorated in the Railroad Museum in Jiuquan in San Francisco. And the Chinese and the Irish, to be stereotypical, they met, put the final pin in at Promontory Point, and you will go to high school, you study this picture. Not one Chinese face in that photo. Although the Chinese built the western part of the railroad. That is historical fact. It's not a tall tale. And the railroad was completed in amazing, well, there was a civil war and then the railroad building in 69 to 75, perhaps. In short 6 years, the railroad moguls completed the railroads in the United States, joined up the continent. And after that came a recession. Chinese were viewed as a threat to American labor. The yellow peril, the hue and cry, the yellow hue, the yellow peril was the call of the day. And if you watch, if you remember, I'm an old guy, you know, Kung Fu, 1970s Kung Fu movie, David Carradine, Kwai Chung Caine. Well, Kwai Chung Caine is not quite Chinese. He's not Chinese at all. But he starred in a Chinese movie. This is the days before Crouching Tiger and Hidden Dragon. There was no Michelle Yeoh and the all Chinese cast back then in the 70s. I watched it. It was fun. A lot of Taoist stuff and monasteries. But it was a yellow face, okay? A white guy acting a half Chinese role. But that doesn't mean that was the times, right? It was cast in the 1870s at the rise of the Yellow Peril. In fact, the Yellow Peril got to be so bad that in 1882, Congress passed the Chinese Exclusion Act. Oh, I forgot. Oksana, forgive me. Can you please come up, bring me my proper Chinese attire? Sure. You know, I'm dressed in this tuxedo here. Oksana is my trusty paralegal. She's going to law school. She's Ukrainian. She's going to be an American lawyer. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dragon coat on. So, all right, I'm going to wrap up very shortly now that I'm proper.